Well, everyone, I gotta say, it's been a while since we've talked about PragerU, and I'm pretty excited to do so. They're kind of the original Daily Wire when you think about it, and I think they're actually directly, connected to or affiliated with the Daily Wire. That, or do they just have some talent crossover, and they collaborate a lot? But it really goes to show the fact that there's just, a handful of these, big media corporations that exist that are just completely conservative and are run by conservatives and dominate the internet using astroturfing methods, like running ads on everything, using all the money they can spend on ad space. It just goes to show the level of influence and balance we have. And it kind of has been, I've been remiss not to talk about PragerU in so long. It's been a year, I feel like. And what better way to get into the spirit of Hanukkah, considering it's no longer Christmas, than to cover Dennis Prager's new fireside chat he put out 3 days ago on Christmas, called "How Does a Dennis Prager as a Jew Celebrate Christmas?" Something you guys should probably know is Dennis Prager, who actually recently almost died and unfortunately is still with us. He fell down some stairs and got pneumonia. He made it through. Sad to say, he made it through. He's back to doing his fireside chats. Regardless, though, he is Jewish, and despite being Jewish, he is very pro-Christian. You see, Dennis Prager is one of those hyper-Zionist, Orthodox, conservative, hyper-conservative Jewish people who really get along with Christians, and Christians really get along with them because A, they're generally socially really aligned in a lot of things, but also Dennis Prager, being a giga-Zionist, aligns with the goals of a lot of really radical Christians. For those that don't know, there are a lot of Christians who believe that Jesus cannot rise and thus bring about the rapture, where souls will be let into heaven and eternity of bliss and yada yada, and judgment by, all that. All that stuff cannot happen unless certain things have happened first, according to the Bible. And one of those things is that God's chosen people, which, if you know the Bible, that's the Jews, must own the Holy Land. From the river to the sea. Can you guess what that is? Israel. And a lot of what is still considered Palestine. So a lot of Christian conservative fundamentalists get along really well with Jewish fundamentalist Zionists, because while someone like Dennis Prager is Zionist because of maybe some weird traditionalist religious reasons, and definitely because of obviously ideological reasons, the reason why Christians align is because they have a lot of Christian reasons for why the Jews need to control that entire area and beyond, into Egypt and shit too. Yeah, you're right. They want more than that, from the Nile to the Euphrates. You're right, Terrell. They want to invade Egypt. Well, not maybe. I don't know if Israel wants to invade Egypt, but Christians want Israel to invade Egypt, to be clear, okay? So there's been this running theme of Dennis Prager, as a Jewish guy, being one of the biggest pro-Christian advocates online. And it's always been a kind of silly sort of realization for people that's been called out by lefties for quite some time. But I'm curious to see this video.
Do you celebrate Christmas?
Sorry. I'm curious to see this fireside chat. How does Dennis Prager celebrate Christmas as a Jewish man? Let's find out. Let's find out. As I speed up the video ever so slightly.
Do you celebrate Christmas? And also, what kind of activities do you and your family partake in during the holiday season? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olivia. I'm a religious Jew, and obviously Christmas is not my religious holiday. At this time of the year, it would be Hanukkah.
I should clarify, by the way, because it might not be clear. When I say Jew in this context, I mean religiously practicing Jewish. Not oh, you have Jewish ancestry, because that doesn't mean you're practicing. It doesn't mean you would be it doesn't mean you'd have any religious celebration or anything.
However, there is a big however. There are a few howevers. You've asked me actually one of my favorite questions, because this is This is I've never told this. You will find this interesting. So I love Christmas in America. I love the Christmas season. It is actually.
You know, I feel like this needs to be said. I love Christmas too. I feel like the right is getting away with this war on Christmas narrative too much, and I feel like the left's response needs to be to get a lot more hollier and a lot more jollier during Christmas time. Like just a lot more festive in general. It doesn't need to be Christmassy, but like festive in general. I love Christmas. I love everything about it, really. Even the like shameless capitalist consumerist aspect of it genuinely fills my stomach with like this warm sensation of joy, right? Like seeing a bunch of presents under a Christmas tree, even as an adult, fills me with joy. So there's the smell of pine needles, the smell of like cinnamon brooms. If you're a real Christmas celebrator, you buy cinnamon brooms and you know exactly what I'm talking about. That shit is peak. I love cinnamon brooms. I also have I threw them away because they lost their scent. I literally had like hanging right next to me for the last month a little mesh bag of cinnamon scented pine cones. I love Christmas. I love the decorations. I love the mythology, the music. Even All I Want for Christmas Is You, for the first few times I hear it every year, I kind of bop to it, and then it gets old. But like I bop to it at first because I'm just down for Christmas music. It's been a year. I'm down for it, right? Now, the right has been pushing this whole war on Christmas thing, and I actually have a personal story I want to tell you. It's not technically from me, it's from a friend of mine, but I think it really applies here. This is why the right pushes the war on Christmas narrative. For a very long time in America, Christmas was the default winter holiday. Yeah, there was always Hanukkah and it was acknowledged, but it was always like that back seat, right? Due to America getting considerably more PC over the years, we've started saying happy holidays more. A very broad umbrella term that refers to the fact that we are in the holiday season. There are many different groups that celebrate different holidays around this time. It's just the festive season, so why not just a broad happy holidays to just refer to everyone? The thing about that, though, is that a lot of people don't celebrate Christmas, and the Merry Christmas thing being the standard was obviously a problem before, but now a lot of people, most people I think in America, celebrate Christmas rather than anything else. And so now, in some cases, like something that happened or something that was said to a friend of mine was talking to his friend who works in retail, and he was ranting about how his job this year had specifically asked him to stop saying Merry Christmas and to say Happy Holidays instead to customers. They were ranting about this over Discord. And so my friend ended up getting into an argument about that with them, of course. But I ended up hearing the story secondhand, and it goes to show there are a lot of people out there, even obviously the friend in question here is like a 21-year-old who's genuinely upset that his work is asking him to say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Christmas and you're asked not to say Merry Christmas, it feels like an attack on Christmas. It feels like a holiday that is beloved in America, looked forward to every year by the majority of the population, like there is some effort to sanitize it from this time of the year. It feels like it's being attacked. And that is why the war on Christmas narrative actually has momentum. And it's not just a joke everyone laughs off every year. It actually catches on and motivates people to attack the left, because it must be the left behind this war on Christmas, right?
Actually, my favorite season, what is it? Isn't that lyrics in one of the famous Christmas songs? The most wonderful season of all?
Wonderful time of the year.
Well, so a wonderful time of the year, yeah. I do feel...
What? How? Okay, you cannot claim to be a Christmas enjoyer and not know it's the most wonderful time of the year. Like, how do you not know that? That's the most basic Christmas song. Like, everyone knows that.
Feel that, actually. I love it. And I didn't know it growing up. I grew up in a sort of a religious Jewish cocoon in Brooklyn, New York. I went to a yeshiva till I was 19. A yeshiva was half the day religious subjects in Hebrew and half the day secular subjects in English. And I went to an Orthodox Jewish camp, and so I
Video's louder than you? Oh yeah, it would be, because I have my volume booster on, don't I? Oh, thank you for telling me. Thank you, Blue Girls. You're goated for telling me. And shame on everyone who didn't.
I grew up in a sort of cocoon, religious cocoon. But I was very well aware of Christmas. You will find this of interest, all of you, including Olivia.
I got Kit Kats.
That though my family was Orthodox, wearing even, in fact, a skull cap or yarmulke or kippah, whatever term you use, at home all the time. On Christmas Eve, my family watched the Mass from the Vatican. Like I'm telling you, it was a given.
From the Vatican?
We are sitting down, and it was midnight. It wasn't broadcast early. It was broadcast at midnight. And there we are, my father in his yarmulke, my older brother wearing a yarmulke, my mother with us, me wearing a yarmulke, the Jewish skull cap, and watching the...
I like how he has to specify for the average conservative PragerU viewer, the Jewish skull cap. I just find that funny. His voice is bassy here. That's literally the video. That's not my end. That's the video being like that. Their audio is just weird here with that lapel mic.
The Christmas Mass, the Catholic Mass from the...
He's not using a very good mic right now. He's using what's called a lapel mic. They're small and condensed, and they're handy because you can just clip it onto your shirt, and you don't have to worry about like speaking into a microphone or holding one or having it in your face. But they're not very good. There's a pretty low cap to how high quality the audio that a lapel mic picks up can be.
Vatican on TV, and I remember saying to my parents when I was a kid, look, he wears a yarmulke too. Because the Pope wears a skull cap as well, and so do the not the bishops, the cardinals who were there. And I loved it. I was just enthralled by it. I was always fascinated by Christmas, by Christians, by Christianity.
I feel this really goes to show why so many religiously practicing Jewish boomers in America lean so heavy right, even as anti-Semitism gets to be such a blatantly obvious problem among the right. Because at the end of the day, there is this weird worship of Christians, this weird allyship of religious ideology and nationalistic fervor, and it's this hodgepodge of toxicity where it's basically an I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of situation. I guess I'm glad that Christians and Jews don't want to kill each other or anything like that. Times have changed, that's nice, but this, like, I don't know, it just seems... I'm not even calling this cringe. I don't see anything cringe about this. There's nothing wrong with what he's describing. I more so find it interesting. I find it more worth commenting on how the Jewish people who are acceptable by the right standard are the ones who almost talk about Christianity with a reverence and an almost implication that Christianity is better and that they know Christianity is better. Like, do you guys get what I'm saying here?
But I didn't put two and two together until I went to England in my third year of university, third year of college. And during the Christmas break, I traveled by train down to Morocco. So I crossed the English Channel by boat, then train all the way down to the bottom of Spain, and then again by boat. This was the cheapest way to do it, and fascinating.
Really goes to show how much money this motherfucker grew up with. That he went to Christmas Mass at the Vatican, and then caught a boat from Spain down to North Africa to Morocco. Just a just a little Christmas trip from his childhood. Just a very normal, everyone has that one cross-continental, multi-continental Christmas trip in their childhood, you know? That's a very common experience.
As well, by boat.
You see, Dennis Prager is a man of the people.
Across the Strait of Gibraltar, the westernmost part of the Mediterranean Sea, over to Morocco, and arrived by boat. I spent 2 weeks in Morocco alone. So this was also my first non-Western country, and certainly my first Muslim country.
Oh, he said he was watching it live on TV? Well, he said he was watching from the Vatican at one point. I know for a fact at one point he said he was watching it at the Vatican from the Vatican. He might have been watching it on TV anyway, but he said he was watching it from the Vatican. And he's now describing traveling from like where the Vatican would be. Vatican City is in Italy. Going down south to Morocco. So it's like, or I guess southeast or southwest to Morocco. Or no, he went from Spain, so he would have gone west and then he would have gone south. So yeah. Like I'm pretty sure he's describing like a Christmas trip he had when he was younger.
And it was a fascinating 2 weeks to say the least. But something huge happened to me internally. Because I've always monitored myself. I sort of want to know me like I want to know others. And I realized, you know what?
I'm finally hearing what you guys were talking about this whole time. There's like some kind of breathing. And it's not Dennis Prager because he's talking as we hear it. So there must be another lapel mic that's like connected and they forgot to like turn it off. Maybe he just did a thing with a guest and then they recorded this and they forgot to turn off the guest's mic input. And so we're hearing the guests breathing as they sit in silence. And they haven't picked up on it. That's a really funny oversight.
I'm missing something. And I didn't even know what it was. And then to my shock, this kid from this religious Jewish cocoon said, I miss Christmas. It was revelatory inside of my mind. It was revelatory. How much I missed it and how much I loved that season and its music and the decorations and the spirit of the society, much more tragically than today in America, I'm sorry to say. I mean, there were my whole street that I grew up on, virtually every home had great lights outside. Some had a manger scene. It was really, I loved it. And especially, I will admit, the music saturating the society.
This is like, okay, this is where it gets to the point where I'm talking about how they refer to Christian stuff like it's almost superior to Jewish holiday tradition, right? So he talks about like the nativity scene, right? Like the birth of Jesus, like in the little like manger or whatever, right? Like you see a lot of those set up, especially in Florida, just the South in general around Christmas. You see one every yard. That is very much a Christian symbol, right? Very out of season because Jesus was probably born in the fall. And we decided to like merge the winter solstice with Jesus's birth, like moving Jesus's birthday, and then we appropriated some pagan ritual stuff with the whole like evergreen trees for our Christmas trees, and the Santa Claus isn't even an original thing from like anything. It's a very recent invention by a company. A lot of what we consider Christmas is a mix of like Christian religion, pagan religion, and American corporatism, right? So Christmas is, in a way, kind of a made-up hodgepodge. So loving Christmas, you don't need to be any religion to love Christmas. You can be an atheist, a Christian, Jewish, Muslim. I think you can be anything and enjoy Christmas, because at the end of the day, Christmas is not really an expression of Christianity. It's unrecognizable from any idea of celebrating Christianity that it once was. It's about what all the hokey shit that we think of Christmas being about, like family and thankfulness and spending time, like all that corny shit, right? That's what it's about. That is what Christmas is about. Enjoying time with loved ones, giving each other gifts to show how much you care about each other. We followed this up after Thanksgiving so closely, and it kind of works because you have a holiday to be thankful for what you have, and then a holiday to give and receive, and then to be thankful for what you give and receive, or to see others be thankful for what you give and to be thankful for what you receive. They tie together very well. Here's the thing, though. The way he talks about, like, the nativity scene, that's just a Christian thing. Like, that's just purely Christian. Like, people who just celebrate Christmas but aren't Christian don't put up, like, the Jesus iconography, typically. Because that's not really what Christmas is about for most people. Like, a lot of secular people celebrate Christmas, and obviously the Jesus stuff is not what Christmas is about in most Christmas movies, even. Like, Christmas holiday stuff. The songs aren't about it. The imagery typically isn't about it, right? And so the way that this guy who is religiously practicing Jewish talks about how he loves seeing the recreations of the birth of Jesus, it's just so weird and cucked to me. Because, like, I as an atheist, or I guess as an agnostic, I don't know what I'd call myself, when I see those, I'm just like, I don't love them, you know? I'm just like, oh, that's what they believe happened, you know? And I maybe I even cringe a little bit, right? Why would someone who doesn't even celebrate that religion love that? Like, it feels like virtue signaling. Maybe I'm just seeing things here, but I feel like the way he's talking about how much he loves Christmas and the Christian parts of Christmas specifically feels like virtue signaling to a definitely majority Christian audience.
And of course, in Morocco being a Muslim society, there was basically no Christmas. It was another week of the year.
Oh man, those goddamn those Muslims, how could they? How could they deprive themselves of Christmas? Have they no joy? You know, it really opened my eyes to how miserable the life of non-Jews and non-Christians are. It made me realize that as long as you're not... I'm guessing that's where this is going.
And that awakened me to how much I loved it. I'll tell you another thing. Again, I know that I haven't mentioned this. So my stepson, one of my two stepsons, my wife's two sons is autistic. And he lives with us. He's nearly 40 years old, and he lives with us. He's, by the way, extremely easy to live with, but obviously he can't take care of himself. That's why he lives with us. And
I will say, it's always interesting when you find out someone who's so demonically awful does something like take care of a loved one, you know? Like, it's like, okay, so you are just a grifter that's just being an awful person for the money, and you know deep down that you're, because, like, you do things for people, and you are, like, a decent person in some ways interpersonally. It's clear that you have enough of a soul to know that, like, what you do is just evil. It's just a stark reminder.
We have made sure that he, though he is now has been living in a home almost 20 years.
Wait.
He has been living in a home of Jews. Nevertheless, it would be selfish of us to remove Christmas from his life. So
okay.
We have Christmas for him, as it were. And that's important.
Yeah, it sounds like snoring. Someone in the room is snoring. Like, that is actual snoring. Someone in that room is taking a boomer nap. He is recording this video in the room while someone is just passed out snoring off camera. That is crazy.
Important. It would be. It would make my religion mean Or my religiosity, not my religion. Make my...
To be fair, whoever that is that's snoring is having the correct reaction to a PragerU video being made, filmed, or played. That's my reaction as well.
Religiosity mean to deprive him of that just because that is not my religious holiday. But I love it. I listen to the music. I make sure, I mean, if ever possible, I will go to hear Handel's Messiah. And so that, I hope, it's a very long, it might be the longest answer to the shortest question that I ever received at a fireside chat. Now, what was the other part of your question? Let's see. And let's see. What activities do you and your family partake in during the holiday season? Well, obviously we like Hanukkah candles for the 8 days of Hanukkah. And
that's fun.
That might attend a Hanukkah party that somebody might hold, but beyond what I described to you, there's not much that specifically is done, though we do have a special meal with my wife's family who...
There's not, like, dude, what is he okay, so I've been to people's houses who celebrate Hanukkah during Hanukkah. And it's basically, at least from, like, for most people that celebrate it, like an 8-day long family's coming to visit. You know, like, a lot of families going to be coming to visit. It's almost like usually like an 8-day long, like, big family get-together party marathon. A lot of dinners, a lot of, like, gift giving, a lot of just, like, hanging out, like, the kids from distant family members that are kids are all playing games and shit and just having fun. Like, a lot of it's just about, like, an extended family get-together. At least from what I have seen, not every family celebrates the same, I imagine, but I just think it's funny how, like, he dedicates so much of this video to talking about how much he loves the Christianized Christmas. Not just, like, the Christmas that every American loves and celebrates for the most part, but, like, the specifically manger, like, nativity scene, angel on top of the tree, like, hyper Christian Christmas, and gives it like a, yeah, we light the candles and, you know, we have, like, dinner or whatever when he talks about celebrating Hanukkah. I don't know, it just, like I said, it reeks of that vibe of, like, this, like, cucked, like, Jewish guy who is actively speaking of like, Christianity as if it's superior to his own religion. Like, it just comes off as cucked. That's the only word I can find for it. I don't have the vocabulary, I think, to describe what I think of this. All I can say is it's cucked. Dennis Prager is cucked. That is my thesis statement for this video. And I shall restate it at the end. Anyway, guys, if y'all liked that segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, and or enjoyable, then please consider leaving a like and a comment. Every single thumbs up and comment is totally free and actually goes a long way to boost my channel in the algorithm, forcing YouTube to show me to new people. And of course, excuse me, if you haven't already, consider subscribing and ring the bell icon. Turn on all notifications that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video, because if you don't, they absolutely won't. And of course, follow my social medias linked down below if you haven't already, including my Blue Sky and my fan Discord server. Actually, every week, at least once a week, on Fridays, I host gaming events, call-in streams, and or watch parties in my Discord server in the Xander's Theater section. So if you guys don't want to miss that, make sure that you guys show up, join the Discord. It's going to be a good time. We're going to watch some Arcane. It's going to be awesome. So I hope to see you guys there. With that said, though, finally, if you want to support me directly financially, help me keep the roof above my head and the lights on here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or perhaps even support me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or even buying merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching as always, and have a good one.